record an entire episode and then you realize you never started the episode to begin with. I don't know what to even think. Oh, how did I manage that? It's just... I chatted like 5 minutes and then I realized I didn't even hit the recording button. It's alright, I'll just check the backup file. I didn't record it to a hard drive. So, damn it, this is just... Now you've... and just... So... I talking for 45 minutes about Black Sabbath albums ranked, and I didn't even start recording this. Why? Because I have a retro review out tomorrow on an album. Now, I found this link over here on another website. It is Kerrang and Nick Ruskell, and it's his best. Just quickly, just do it. Apparently released a new song, so I will be very keen to for their upcoming album, Winter. So, Christmas song. So, okay, I thought he was dead. Anyway, there is, of course, a Christmas song out there with William Shatner in it. Now, like I did last time, but here is the list in accordance to... Go fully into it like did last, but here is the list in accordance to Kerrang, written by Nick Ruskell. Of course, 50 years of Black Sabbath, one of the most influential metal bands out there. Okay, so we're going to go into this. Now, you wouldn't have Metallica, of course, you wouldn't have Iron Maiden. I don't know why you'd listen to Nirvana. I could be very wrong here in saying that they didn't listen to them, but I don't know. I'm sure Doz would tell me otherwise. Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, of course, all those bands massively influenced there by Black Sabbath. So, yes, Black Sabbath have created a lot of music, and where would we be without them? Who knows? But Dave Grohl has this thing saying, basically, we would have rock, but we wouldn't have it like it is at the moment if it wasn't for Black Sabbath. So, interesting little point to be made there. So the worst album, and I see this a lot when I've read a few posts in regards to, on Reddit and stuff like that. People say Forbidden is their worst album, the 1995 album. I can safely say I don't think I've listened to this album. I think I've heard one, maybe 2 tracks, but it does say here that it opens up with Ice-T rapping over with Tony Martin in The Illusion of Power, and it's the opening track, which just does sound terrible. I don't know why. I guess they tried to do an Aerosmith move with like Aerosmith with Run DMC there, and they missed the mark, because I just don't think Black Sabbath should be doing any kind of rap rock crossover like Aerosmith. They just don't. They don't have that ability. They just don't. So, Forbidden, it's an album I just haven't heard of. The cover just looks average. So, I guess, yes, why not? I think I've heard that one song with Ice-T. There's probably a couple of albums here I just haven't listened to. But they did mention here that, of course, they made a live album out of this. I remember, seeing that there was a live album when it came to Black Sabbath's catalogue, and I was a bit surprised to see that. I'm just trying to look over in Spotify right now to see if it's still up there. I know it came out on like VHS or something back in the day, but I couldn't recall if it's on Spotify, and it doesn't seem to be the case. I do remember, it came out. I think it's even got, I think it's on DVD. So, yeah, Burning Angels or something like that on the cover. Anyway, yes, I do believe that is the case there when it comes to that. Cross Purposes haven't played it, but apparently it was pretty average. I'll agree with that statement there. But we'll continue on. Now, 7 star, I was surprised to see this one ranked, I guess, so high in the list, or low, I should say. 7 star. I mean, it's not a great album, definitely not a great album, but it's not a terrible album either. I would probably rank this a little bit more higher. It is a solo album. It effectively is a solo album. It's Tony Iommi wanting to do his own thing, and the record label saying, no, release it under Black Sabbath. You know, you got to have recognition. Sorry, I got to sneeze. And that's right there. Damn you. I don't want to sneeze either because it's going to be loud as hell going through the mic. And it's because of chowder. Oh, man. All the fur in the air. And hay fever. So 7 star was pretty much an Iommi solo album, and he just wanted to do his thing. So it's going to have a lot of different sounds compared to a lot of the band itself there. Now, I guess when you're looking back at it, it's not that fantastic. So yeah, but I wouldn't put it this low either. You know, I probably would rank it a couple spots higher. I don't know. This guy's list. Now we keep going on here, and the Eternal Idol. I am surprised. Try not to get. Don't look there. Sorry, I scrolled a bit too far. But the Eternal Idol album is another one that I thought was surprising to see so low in the list as well. It's an okay album. I know there's a reissue of the album out on Spotify as well when it comes to it, and reissue deluxe edition, sorry, and basically it's 2 discs with the alternative studio recording, because they had 2 singers around about this time. You know, the first singer, I think it was Eric. I can't remember his name now. Basically, he left the band, and Tony Martin takes his place. Tony Martin is the second longest serving singer with Black Sabbath. And, you know, he shows off his chops, and he shows it quite well. When you go over a look at the deluxe edition, you can hear the 2 singers and the differences, and I think Tony's a fantastic fit, better than the original one there. Eric didn't achieve anything after. You know, he probably should have stuck with Sabbath, even if, you know, it's probably fair to assume that, which is probably why he left, because they did release a slew of average albums. But anyway, I can understand why he left. Anyway, I think he passed away a number of years ago, I was reading. So anyway, that's going to go onwards. Now, as far as the list goes, if I can scroll to the right bloody window, the next one is Never Say Die, and we've already got the first Aussie album up there. You know what? It is definitely a terrible album. I think Johnny Blade is like the only decent song on it, and even that is just passable at best. Besides that, is there really any... Never Say Die. Let's have a look over this. So, Never Say Die. Maybe the first song. But I thought Johnny Blade was okay. But other than that, Swing the Chain and Air Dance and shit, I don't know. I have to go back and listen to it. It's one of those albums I kind of refuse to listen to. Because you listen to it and you go, oh, this is shit. This is... Stop it. He's dead already. Yeah, it's one of those albums. It is a pretty shocking album in hindsight. So, yeah, it says here as well, Ozzy wasn't very diplomatic about it. It's the worst piece of work that I've ever had anything to do with at that time. He's done some stuff since then. What is it, Sin or whatever? Anyway, but, yeah, it was... yeah, they kind of had writer's block, the whole band, and it's not good because they did have that, I think around about the time of, like, Volume 4 or Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, but they managed to get over it with the use of excessive drugs use. But by this time they kind of were a bit past it, getting more sober, and it just, yeah, band's getting sober in general. It never is a good result for music. But anyway, yes, Never Say Die was a pretty average album, to say it best. At worst, you could say it was a complete shocker and should be stricken from the records. I don't know. It has 1 or 2 tracks, I'll say that. God, look at that. You could probably lick Ozzy's face here and get high. Now, Born Again. This album is just... I don't know what to even say about this album. Oh, actually, I think I forgot something here. Let me just scroll back a bit. Which album was it? Seventh Star, that's right. So, interesting little thing here when it came to Seventh Star, but we had Deep Purple's singer Glenn Hughes for it. He joined up for that one, I should say. Basically, only a couple of years before that, you have the album Born Again, which also has another Deep Purple singer in there, this time with, of course, Ian Gillan. And both of them are just not right fits for the band. And do they have the chops for it? Yeah. Look, Ian Gillan has a great voice, of course, especially during the 80s. But his style of songwriting, that's what makes it different, because he's more down to earth. You know, hope you've got your beer ready for these ones, boys. He's much more down to earth compared to Ozzy. Much more down to earth, I should say, compared to Dio, who's all in the fantasy realm and mystique and all that stuff. And Ozzy was doom and evil and all that stuff. So I should probably just say there that Ian and his songwriting based in reality is not a good fit for the band, especially with the sound that we're trying to go for around about this time. It's too far a step away, in other words, and the band were not in a good area for it. So yeah, Born Again. I would rate this much lower in my list, but anyway, Technical Ecstasy. Interesting, because Technical Ecstasy was meh. It was a very average album. When it comes to that end of the Aussie kind of era lineup, I would say when it comes to it, the Backstreet Kids, yeah, sure, maybe She's Gone, Dirty Woman's a banger, but besides that, there's not much else to it. It's a very very average listen, from start to finish, with the exception, of course, to that last track there. So, yep, not going to disagree with it. Anyway, but yeah, it's still just another album that is, as far as the listing of the band goes, just pretty average. So, we go on. We've got Mob Rules. Don't scroll too fast. That's the last thing we want to ruin the surprise, do we? Mob Rules. I'm surprised to see this one up here in this position. In my opinion, it probably should be bumped down the list a little bit higher, I should say. I like Mob Rules. It's a good album. But from what I've read in this one here, it's like peaks and valleys. So it has its moments and then it doesn't, It got its reissue recently, and I enjoy it. I've enjoyed that reissue, listening to it, going back into, that mindset that they had. Because, they had the two, and then obviously Dio would come back later. But, yeah, Mob Rules I thought was a really damn impressive album. Voodoo, the Sign of the Southern Cross, Mob Rules, of course. Used in the movie Heavy Metal, I think it was. Anyway, but it's a really good album, of course. I mean, would you say there are stinkers between it? Yeah, there's probably a few, but I'd say it's few and far between. I don't know. Well, tell me what you guys think. Do you think that the album should be rated higher? Do you think it should be lower? Because, yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's still a pretty decent album there. Anyway, Mob Rules. Tear. Now, this is an album I don't think I had heard for the longest of time. I was playing it today, actually, and damn, it goes hard. It's a really good album, actually. And it was described as the Headless Cross Part 2, which I'd probably not disagree with. It's a really fantastic Tony Martin era album, and it's such a shame that Tony Martin's albums, except for Eternal Idol, are not on Spotify. It annoys me so much that he doesn't have his stuff there. I really want to hear Tear. I really do. I'm probably going to play it after this, but anyway, I'm not saying that you can find it elsewhere, but you can find it elsewhere. If you really want to listen to it, it's a really decent album. It's probably one of the last best albums they made, to be honest. And there's some really cool doomy riffs here, as they say here. People were not happy with the heavy use of keyboards, but well, man, I don't know. That's up to you, I guess. I understand the sentiment, but if it fits, it fits. The shoe fits, or whatever. So I think it adds atmosphere. I liked it from the very starting track. Anno Mundi. I probably butchered that Latin phrase right there, but very good opening track there, and it just continues after that. They did say, of course, also there's a galloping song there, a Lawmaker, which could be mistaken for an Iron Maiden track, and I don't think I heard that song on first playthrough, so I'm gonna have to go back and listen to Lawmaker, because that sounds pretty damn cool. Very Iron Maiden-y. Are we talking about 90s era Iron Maiden or 80s era? That's the catch. We move on to the top 10. Here we go. 13. Now this is this album I would not rank so high. It was good to see the band come back together, but I don't like the fact that they did. I still think, though, I was thinking about this on the way over, and I was like, oh, how do you surmise 13? It's a band that had everything to lose by recording a new album together, but nothing really to gain, because they've already done it. I guess it's like Rolling Stones. They don't release new albums. They don't. I think they've released a new album since like 2006 or 4. I don't know, something back then. A Bigger Bang, I think it was. And there's a reason for that. They don't need to. They really do not need to release a new album. They're a legacy band. They know it. And they're happy to do those songs. I understand that you want to write new songs. I understand thought that maybe the record label thought, best off you do, because you're back together again. But I don't know. Given the band's history, of course, I think it's showing that they just never could pull it off. And for me, 13 was okay. The riffs were very doomy, which is kind of cool, but they just never worked. It just never worked for me. It was very forgettable songs. Songwriting was okay, but Rick Rubin, I think, was helm at that point, and I don't know. The modern sound just doesn't sound right for Black Sabbath, is what I mean. They've always got that antique kind of sound, and I wonder if they use like old school recording methods, would the album sound better or more to their style? We'll never know. I reckon it would have been cool if they did that. So I don't agree with 13 being up there. I'd push it down a spot or two. Alright, what do we got? Sabotage. Fuck, that's rough. Sabotage. But by this point in their career, by this point in their lists of albums, you're gonna be coming up against some very hard albums. Sabotage is a pretty cool album. I love Sabotage. Fuck, how can you not, really? When you think about it, what is it? First song, right from the start, Hole in the Sky. Hole in the sky. Oh man, I love that one. Don't start to like. But then when you read through it, I mean, Sin in the Universe, yeah, it's cool. Megalomania, not bad. Thrill of It All. Am I going insane though? It's like it goes off the rails by about that point, and I guess looking at it in hindsight, rather than with ruby tinted glasses or such, it's like, yeah, maybe the album wasn't. It was great, but it wasn't that great. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's still a damn good album. I could listen to it all over again, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe in my mind I just had it like up here. Maybe it's also been a while since I've heard it. I have to go back to playing it. Yeah. So, oh well, I'll think about it. But anyway, going over the list again. So, Sabotage. Yeah, fair enough then. Dehumanizer. Now, this is the part of the list that pissed me off. Dehumanizer is shit. I said it, alright? Dehumanizer is a shit album. I don't care. You can't change my opinion. I hate the fact that, looking at it, they pretty much got rid of Tony Martin to bring in Ronnie James Dio for money to sell the record. But I don't like Dehumanizer. I think it's a very average very average album. You know, it's got like a couple of tracks that are okay, but bringing him back for just that one thing because he was in between record deals probably was just a bit meh. So yeah, I don't like it. It's a very average looking album cover. Just, I don't know. Maybe the record execs are like, we got to change up the scene, you know, Sabbath are tanking, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they did worse after that. Oh, I can feel that sneeze going on. Urgh! Must stop sneezing. Sorry. I know that's a great sound and you love hearing it. Alright, Headless Cross. The reason for this episode. I have a retro review episode that'll be out tomorrow, people, and it's going to be on Headless Cross. So, of course, it's a fantastic way to tie in your product. Marketing 101. So, yeah, I did a retro review episode, and it's going to be on Headless Cross, everyone. It'll be out tomorrow, so check out the channel. Come back to the channel tomorrow if you haven't already. Subscribe, of course, and get notified for that one. Headless Cross. The whole reason behind this whole video was because of a recommendation for a friend of the channel made to me, John. Thank you very much. And that was to check it out. It was an album that I just really didn't listen to, and I'm glad that he did say you got to check this out. It's a pretty cool album. And I was curious because I did see on Reddit a lot of people ranking this album very high. And I was like, why is it always so high? I always thought that 90s and 80s era Sabbath were like, you know. But I guess listening to it, you're like, yeah, damn. I won't go into it too much. I'll let you go over to the retro review and check that one out. But I understand. That's what I'll say. Number 6, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. And of course, we're going to get with the heavyweights here. Hell, we've pretty much already started. But Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. And Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I mean, this is just such an epic album. I think it was Metallica's... I mean, Metallica did a whole kind of cover song on Garage Inc., you know, called Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. And that was kind of my first taste of Black Sabbath, or first one that I could really recall. And I remember talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying how Metallica was like a gateway band, and that's very true. You know, you listen to Metallica, or at least I did, and I think a lot of people do as well. You listen to Metallica and you're like, oh, this is fantastic, this is heavy, this is so heavy, but then you listen, and then someone else recommends something, or, you know, you find something else that's heavier, and you're like, damn, you know, and you start with Metallica, and you branch out, you know, you could make a Metallica family tree of the shit that, you know, you find from there. But, I think, although Metallica is a gateway band, their album Garage Inc. is the gateway album, more towards the roots, because when you think about it, you know, this is the stuff that they are doing covers on for bands that influence them. So we listen to Garage Inc., or at least we did back in the day, and we're like, oh, so who's this band? You know, who's Motorhead? Who's Diamond Head? Who's bloody King Diamond? Who's Black Sabbath? Had no idea on any of these musicians, so went down to the record store, started buying or ordering some Black Sabbath CDs, Motorhead CDs, Diamond Head CDs, and sure enough, just becoming absolute freaking maniacs when it came to this stuff. Black Sabbath, absolutely incredible. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, the album, insane. The melody song as well from Garage Inc. I love it, absolutely love it. Just great. Was that your influence in regards to Metallica, people? I'd be keen to know. You know, did you guys listen to Garage Inc. and go, damn, this is some good shit. I want to hear this band. Because, yeah, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in regards to that. Or at least my little thought process behind that one. Ugh. Computer's not working. Alright, interesting. Number 5 here, we have the self-titled, eponymous debut album, Black Sabbath. And I guess when you think about it, you go over to the album, and there is nothing like it around this time. You know, the album cover is nuts. It's just this ghostly apparition of someone standing in like the bushes somewhere in front of a house, and it's crazy. It's a very ominous looking photo. You know, this ghastly projection of someone looking at you, and especially that opening line from Black Sabbath. You know, oh no, please God help me. Well, that was later on in the track. What is this that stands before me? You know, rain, a bell, thunder, all the rest of that stuff, and we had a fantastic opening song. The absolute start of what would be metal would be heard with rain and thunder. So what a great way to start, I guess, the career of Black Sabbath. You move on, of course. You know, you got other fantastic tracks there, like The Wizard, Behind the Wall of Sleep, NIB, Evil Woman, Sleeping Village. Fuck, the whole album is just great from start to finish here. Especially the closing, like Warning, is just nuts. This 10-minute long song with Tony's jamming and Geezer coming in and all that shit. So, absolutely insane. I think also there is a half-hour version out there where they just kind of left it recording, but due to limitations, the EP, LP I should say, EP? LP. They could only put 10 minutes on, but I think it goes like half an hour. He just jammed. He was like, yeah, I'm going to play. Yeah. And yeah, it's right. It's ripe for the taking at the time, I guess. Something different, something heavy. Led Zeppelin was coming around. Deep Purple was taking their cues. And Black Sabbath was there. So, yeah, an absolute banger. Would I rank it any higher? I don't know. Me and Dodds want to do a list of Aussie era albums, so I'm guessing you'll have to find out on that list. But anyway, Heaven and Hell. Depends how you feel about Dio as to whether or not this should be higher or lower. Because was he a right fit for Black Sabbath and their motif? Did he fit their motif, I should say? I don't know. But that really depends, I guess. It depends on whether or not you think he was the right fit for the band. He was very different. I don't think he was the right fit. That's just my opinion. But he definitely made their sound. He emboldened? I don't think that's the right word. He definitely added something. He added value to their sound. He changed their sound. He evolved it to at a time when they needed to. Do I think Heaven and Hell is a really good album? Yes, I do. Would I rank it this high? No. But I would still rank it high. It's a very good album. It's a very fantastic opening way for Ronnie James Dio and their new singer. So, you know, Ozzy kicked off things with Blizzard of Oz, and they did their same thing with Heaven and Hell. Fantastic way to really open this stuff up. Oh, got a leaky nose. Fantastic. Number 3, we're coming in with Volume 4. Ooh, hitting heavy hard here. So Volume 4, it's we've talked a lot about drugs in this list, like a lot, but really it's unavoidable sometimes. The studio for Volume 4 cost $60,000. The drugs came to $15,000 more than that. Oh my god! So we're renting out a studio for $60,000. All right, why is the bill $140? Well, you do realise Ozzy's in the band, right? Oh shit! God damn it! I heard lots of stories when it came to Volume 4, like Geezer, they had like a mountain of coke on one side when they were recording, and they were just constantly taking bumps from. The other thing as well was, I think it was Bill Ward had like a mental breakdown during Volume 4 or somewhere around about this time. Completely didn't know what to play or what to write, and they stuck him in a room pretty much and told him to get sober and record his drumming bits, or otherwise he'd be fired from the band. Yeah, it's very, very odd times. And I'm pretty sure Volume 4 is Frank Zappa's favourite Sabbath album, purely because of the riffs that were on that. And when you look at it, I mean, can you blame him? Snowblind in particular. Snowblind, damn it. Wheels of Confusion and all that stuff. Changes. Interesting little shift at Change there, of course. But yeah, Changes was a very Changes. God, I can't say the sentence. Changes is a very different sound for the band, of course. It's very this piano kind of ballady tune, and it works. It really does. I mean, yeah, they had something else, but this was a little bit different here. So yeah, Volume 4, really good album. Yeah, it's really good album. Damn it, how can you get any of that wrong? Number 2, people, Master of Realities. We know what number 1's going to be, of course. Master of Reality is a very simplistic cover when it comes to it. Just the purple writing of the band's name and the album itself with a very iconic look to it. It's kind of 60s psychedelic writing, but sinister with that black and purple look, isn't it? Some friend of mine, I remember their mother said that this was her first album that she ever bought, and I'm like, damn, impressive. Opening up with Sweet Leaf, of course. After Forever, of course, Embryo, Children of the Grave, Orchard, Lord of the World, Solitude, Into the Void. Now, Black Sabbath shifted their sound a lot during this time of their lifestyle, I should say. And it's interesting because while they kind of created metal in general, or, a version of metal, I guess, they almost created their own sub-genres every time they release an album. And in particular, you can hear it on Master of Reality. Its influence on the doom genre is untold. The whole stoner metal kind of thing. Master of Reality is that blueprint of what bands should be like, when it comes to that. So, hat off to you guys. Master of Reality, everyone. So number 1, Paranoid. Absolutely crazy. Paranoid. Think about this. Black Sabbath's debut was released on February 13th, 1970. 217 days later, they had written, recorded, and released Paranoid. That is crazy. 2/3 of a year later, they wrote, from their fantastic debut album to this absolutely crazy Paranoid album. That is a crazy way to think about it. What a banger of an album that is as well. So, yeah, when you're looking at it, I guess, I remember people were saying this is like part of the unholy trinity. So you got Black Sabbath's Paranoid, you got Deep Purple's Machine Head, and then you got Led Zeppelin 4, Led Zeppelin 4. A whole set of albums around about the same time, I should say. And they just make like the cornerstone of that hard rock and roll, metal era of everything that would come out of that, I guess. Paranoid, of course, to be called part of the unholy trinity, speaks volumes unto itself. The highly iconic War Pigs, Paranoid, of course. Planet Caravan, fantastic track. And this is where, of course, they divulge for the first time, to a degree. Planet Caravan. Iron Man, which, of course, would be forever emulated in the soundtrack of Iron Man by Marvel. At the very end of the credits. Great use of the track, of course. And just a fantastic song. Damn, Iron Man is good. It's almost played out to the point where I don't want to hear it again. Almost. But I still, every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, I could listen to it another time. War Pigs, I don't care how many times I listen to it, I will listen to that again and again and again and again. Paranoid too. But Iron Man, I don't know. I'll still listen to it. Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, of course, Rat Salad, Fairy Swear Boots. This is a perfect album. Absolutely perfect from start to finish. There is no dull moments here. And it's incredible. It is such an incredible album. So, that is, I guess, the list of albums when it comes to rankings. According to Kerrang, anyway. Would I agree with this list? I'd change a few things here and there, that's for sure. Well, Doz and me will try and get around to doing another recording together. Hopefully we can do a recording of the Aussie era albums and rank them. I think that'll be a fun little episode to do. Am I too bright? Does my skin look like I'm a zombie? I'm just an absolute globe here. Hang on. I'm turning down the lights. That's a little bit better. Now, it's been fun to check out that one. And of course, it's a tie-in to the episode that comes out tomorrow, the retro review on Headless Cross, Black Sabbath. That one was fun to do. It took way too long to record. I think I read that script like 6 times. It was so long just recording it from start to finish. Nearly took like 10 months of just recording, script work, recording, then finally editing, and I'm like, I've got to lock myself into this, I've got to do it, and just get it done. And I'm glad that I did. I really am glad that I checked out that album, because, yeah, it led me on a bit of an interesting little search of the band and some facts and stuff like that I found. And, yeah, it's very interesting. Headless Cross. Very interesting little album. So if you haven't heard that era of the band, I do recommend checking them out. Headless Cross, Tear, both of those albums absolutely fantastic. For all of those who have joined us on this episode of our recordings, I apologise again that there was errors. Just can never get it right, or at least never seem to get it right. Anyway, thank you very much for joining in on this episode of Live Listener Raised. This is an episode about Black Sabbath. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to have a great day. Stay spicy. Sub to us as well if you haven't already, and get notified and all that stuff. Do the likes. Do the socials, people. Write my YouTube channel in some bathroom somewhere.